Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Call hello Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Rakar Bradash. Of course, double honors once again go out to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Through the Holy Spirit, continue to teach us this truth. Alright, this is Nam out of the DC camp. And this video is going to be about, this is from the Daily Mail.com from across the pond in the UK. Alright, concerning the Cherokee Nation here. Alright, and let me just read the title. It says, Cherokee Nation finally removes blood clause in its constitution after a series of legal battles clearing the way for descendants of black people enslaved by the tribe to have equal rights. Now, this is a continuation upon a video that the beloved elder Tazadakba did a few months back concerning the Dawes Act and the Dawes Roll. Alright, so let's get that real quick, what we're talking about with the Dawes Act. And it says, signed into law by President Grover Cleveland on February 8, 1887, the Dawes Act resulted in the sale of over 90 million acres of formerly indigenous-owned tribal land to non-indigenous people. The negative effects of the Dawes Act on indigenous tribes would result in the enactment of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, the so-called Indian New Deal. Alright, and here I can enlarge this. No, I can't, so I'm probably not going to go into look at this poster these devils put up. Here it is. The Dawes Act of 1887. Look at this. Indian land for sale. Get a home of your own. Easy payments. Perfect title. Possession within 30 days. Fine lands in the West. Irrigated, irrigable, grazing, agricultural, dry farming. In 1910, the Department of the Interior sold under sealed bids allotted Indian land as follows. Look at this shit. What does that remind you of? Well, let's go to the scripture real quick. Damn devils. This is Habakkuk. Whoops. That ain't gonna work. Alright. Man's just wicked. Alright. Just straight out wicked. So you gotta wonder, what is this really about, and why now? That's the questions I have in my mind. Why now? Alright. Some kind of trickery involved here? Is he trying to, in a way, because when you think about it, the blood clause, alright, and we know that these people are related anyhow by blood, alright. Talking about the tribes of Gad and Jake. Alright. You got the northern and southern kingdoms. Alright. So this is Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Alright. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Talking about these Edomites. Neither keepeth at home. He's all around the world in everybody's business, and yet not taking care of his own home. And plenty of people throughout the years have brought that to the attention of these Edomites. Wait a minute, you over here in our business trying to tell us what to do, and look what you're doing to those people back in your own country. Hypocrites. Alright. It says, who enlargeth his desires hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. There's no satisfying these devils. But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him? Yeah, alright. And say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And that word in the Hebrew is abatya. Alright. And this is a debt-based society. That's what it's talking about. Alright. 7. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Simple put, what goes around comes around. Alright. Isaiah 14 verses 1 and 2. Alright. It It says, verse 8, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. 9. Woe to him that coveteth, and there's the point, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Alright, it says, let's go into that coveteth. Got to continue to drive the point home because verses 5 and 6 already answered this, but it never hurts. Now this is Strong's H1214. Alright, batazai. To cut off, break off, gain by unrighteous violence, get, finish, be covetous, be greedy. Number 3 down here, to gain wrongfully or by violence, which should remind you of another scripture, and this is why this devil's got to be brought down. This is Sirach, chapter 10. He just can't help himself. Alright? This is Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10, verse 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people, being Edom, so-called white people, to another. Alright? So they're going to be taken out. Alright? So let's go back to the dolls. Alright, let's see. There's something else I had here. Hold on. Alright, yeah, we already saw that, but here's the thing with this. Hold on. Let's see. Now we get into the doll's rolls. Alright, it says the doll's rolls are final rolls of citizens and freedmen. Alright, now let's get into who the freedmen were. Just in case you didn't know. The freedman or freedwoman is a formerly enslaved person who has been released from slavery, usually by legal means. Historically, enslaved people were freed by manumissions, granted freedom by their captor or owners. Emancipation granted freedom as part of a larger group or self-purchase. Alright, a fugitive slave is a person who escaped slavery by fleeing. Alright, they're going way, way back. Alright. As far as the United States, which we're talking about here, it says, in the United States, the terms freedmen and freedwomen refer chiefly to former slaves emancipated during and after the American Civil War. By the Emancipation Proclamation, we know that's a joke. Alright? It didn't mean that we were freed, it was just transferred ownership from private ownership to become wards of the state or government. And it goes on, it says, in the 13th Amendment, and another joke. Alright, slaves freed before the war, usually by individual manumissions, often in wills, were generally referred to as free Negroes or free blacks. Alright, let's see. Let's get to what we're talking about here. Let's see, emancipation. Here it is. Cherokee, Choctaw, and Creek nations were among those Native American tribes that held enslaved blacks before and during the American Civil War. They supported the Confederacy during the war, supplying some warriors in the West, as they were promised their own state if the Confederacy won. After the end of the war, the U.S. required these tribes to make new peace treaties and to emancipate their slaves. They were required to offer full citizenship in their tribes to those freedmen who wanted to stay with the tribes. Numerous families had intermarried by that time or had other personal ties. If freedmen left the tribes, they would become U.S. citizens. Alright. In the late 20th century, the Cherokee Nation voted for restrictions on membership to only those descendants of people listed as Cherokee by blood on the Dawes Rolls of the early 20th century, a decision that excluded most Cherokee freedmen. By that time, this term referred to descendants of the original group. In addition to arguing that the post-Civil War treaties gave them citizenship, the freedmen have argued that the Dawes Rolls were often inaccurate, and that's what the beloved Elder Tazadakba mentioned in his video. They did this on purpose to keep Jake from gaining an inheritance. Alright? And they slid their leprous red asses up in there, and you had a term invented therefore called $5 Indian, alright, because they paid to get on the list. So here we have a case where our brothers by blood, alright, because of the influence of the nation of Edom, our mortal enemy, meaning he's always been trying to kill us, alright, chose them to be around rather than us. Think about that. These casinos that a lot of people out of ignorance think that, well, what are the Indians complaining about? They got casinos. You don't understand bloodline and nationality. All of those, as far as owning the casinos, those are all white people pretending to be Native Americans. And I can guarantee you, when you trace that bloodline back far enough, you're going to find that a forefather, not mother, but a forefather would be an Edomite, so-called white man. And I just did a video on this supposed Native American that's been appointed to a cabinet position under Joe Biden. Her name is Deborah Haaland, Haalan. She's not a Native American. Her father is Norwegian. So that's why you don't understand. I read for that particular instance, I read Matthew 13th chapter starting at 24. And it goes into tares. That's a tear. And a lot of our people get caught up, alright, not understanding what that is. I use the example of Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York. He married a Jake woman, so-called African American, alright, and look at the children. If you would just look at them passing on the street, know with the afro and all that, you think that was an Israelite. Alright, no, that's a chocolate-covered Edomite, a white man. And there's so many of them. Those are the tares. Alright? So that's how the enemy, as it says in Matthew 13th chapter, an enemy has done this. Alright? These are our enemies. But this here, alright, let's see, what else did I have? Let's see. Here it is. Let's go. Let's see. Alright. Once again, this is from the Daily Mail, UK. Alright, it says the change came on Monday after years of racial friction and legal battles under a 1866 treaty. After the Civil War, descendants of black slaves of the Cherokee tribe, known as freedmen, should have been given equal rights. But a blood clause in tribe's constitution, you know who's behind that, has contradicted this treaty. The clause based citizenship of the Cherokee Nation on being descended by blood from tribal members listed on the 19th century census. On Monday, this language was ordered to be removed by tribe's Supreme Court. This should clear the way for freedmen to have equal rights in the nation. Such rights include the right to run for tribal office and receive full benefits. Now, I can guarantee you after this, the motherfuckers are in back rooms, full of cigar smoke or whatever. Alright, I'm talking about these Edomites. Hey, what the hell? Trust me, there's going to be some chicanery, whatever you want to put, name you want to put it, it's going to be some maneuverings in the background because this has sent shockwaves among certain people, if you understand my meaning. Alright? Now, I'm sure, me personally, I'm going to follow this because this is really interesting. You see the Jakes here. Indian by the blood we shed. Cherokee freedmen. Let me read this is Cherokee Nation has removed their blood cause in its constitution that was an obstacle to the descendants. Okay, well, I read all that. The Cherokee Nation has an estimated 8,500 enrolled citizens of freedmen descent. Before the 2017 ruling, there have been around 2,900 enrolled freedmen citizens. I saw, who did the special? It was on, was it History Channel or was it somebody else? Not too long ago they did a special on this, regarding this. I can't remember who it was though, but it was really sad, you know. Cherokee Nation is one of the largest tribes in the country with around 380,000 enrolled citizens, more than half of which live within the tribe's northeastern Oklahoma reservation. This is a big win because what this means is that the tribal government, including the tribal courts, are working to uphold the over 150 years, people. Damn. Cherokee citizen and president of the descendants of the freedmen of the 5 Civilized Tribes Association. Alright. Wow. Oh, that's what it was. Let me see. Is it in this one? Where it was. A lot of people aren't familiar with this. Let me find it. Crap. Where did I have it? Let's see. Let's see. More history on Dawes Act. It says of 1887. It says resulted in the sale of over 90 million acres. Alright. Key takeaways. The Dawes Act was a U.S. law enacted in 1887 for the stated purpose of assimilating indigenous peoples into white society. The act offered all indigenous peoples ownership of allotments. So we'll take your shit and we'll issue out what we want you to own. Alright? Like I say, this damn devil, he got to pay, and he will pay. Alright? It says the will intention, by whose account, it says the Dawes Act had a decidedly negative effect on indigenous tribes, as it was meant to. Alright? Something I wanted to point out here. I'll put this in, you can read it on the description box, the link here. Something, let's see. I wanted to read it instead of just telling you. No, I don't think it's going to happen here. Let's see. This is the same thing. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. So I'm looking for something specific here. I thought I had it. Getting into my marriage. Oh crap. I thought I had it keyed up. Hold on. Let's see. You know what? There's no other way. During the relocation, what I'm trying to read to you here. Let's see. Because you'd be surprised, not a whole lot of people don't know about this. When you let me get it here. Why they deleted it. All right. Yeah, I'm trying to read here. What happened is there's a whole lot more to this than just everybody thinks that it was just tribes from the Florida region that were marched across and into what's known as Oklahoma today. But I'll have to save this. This is a good article here. It's my first time, of course, seeing it along with you. But it says, did you know, and it's from the History Channel, did you know Indian removal took place in the northern states as well? In Illinois and Wisconsin, for example, the bloody Black Hawk War in 1832 opened to white settlement millions of acres of land that had belonged to the Sauk, Fox, and other native nations. But that's not what I am looking for. Let's see. Here it is. I think, at least for time's sake, I hope. So lucky, I have to apologize. I thought I had all this saved up. Okay, Atlanta Black Star. All right, here we go. This is from went up on 3 years ago. It says enslaved black people, the part of the Trail of Tears narrative no one told you about. All right, and it says contrary to the popular historical narrative, the Union's efforts to rein in the Confederacy and end the secessionist military rebellion, now known as the Civil War, was incomplete upon the iconic April 9, 1865 surrender of Robert E. Lee. Alright, let's skip down. Let's see. It says, every time you see the pictorial representations, the iconography of the Trail of Tears, it says, you see only Native Americans, stressed Coleman, noting the truth of the matter is they certainly didn't leave their slaves behind. We couldn't ignore the fact that the 5 civilized tribes were actually slave states legally. And that's what was addressed earlier in those other articles I was telling you, where they did practice slavery because they had allied themselves with the Confederacy. All right, said Paul Kayat Smith, I guess that's how you say it. All right, associate curator at the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian. All right, Smith, a Comanche, noted the need to put the term civilized in quotations given its skewed 19th century Eurocentric application to the southern-based Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole Nation. Those are the 5 civilized tribes, so-called. All right. He said, while slavery was not practiced in Native communities in the same way that Mississippi or Alabama did in terms of numbers of being essential to the economy, and that's a good point that he raises there, because Esau with his bitch ass was like, Indians had you in slavery. No, it's totally different. And you need to be able to check them with facts whenever they raise that. All right. It says they clearly took a position to support slavery, to enforce it in their laws, and to actually fight for the Confederacy. All right. So it would have been pretty hypocritical to talk about the role of Indian removal being part of these larger historical processes, while ignoring the undisputed historical fact that Indian nations practiced and protected the institution of slavery. That's why I emphasize this should be watched, what's happening now, because I guarantee you these Edomites are working on some slick shit, all right, behind the scenes. All right. And it goes into about natives practicing slavery as far as prisoners of war, all right, which everybody did, but it doesn't compare to what the so-called white man did. Totally different system. All right. It said it was during the 1830s, in the aftermath of the Indian Removal Act, that the decade-long process known as the Trail of Tears occurred. Feeling the desire to claim the lands of those believed to be godless savages was the white settlers' government-backed wish to expand the cotton industry, and the recent discovery of gold in parts of the South, particularly North Carolina. As a consequence, thousands of Native Americans were evicted from their common lands and forced to walk thousands of miles to designated Indian territory in current-day Oklahoma. Many died from starvation and disease along the way. All right. But they had Southern Kingdom, all right, as slaves with them. And that's the part, because of the depiction you see in the pictures, people don't realize the totality of what happened. Once in Indian territory, Wadey and other native slave owners resumed and even increased their heinous and profitable practice. All right. Slavery in Indian territory became a mirror image of slavery in the white South, said Coleman. She further explained there were already established slave codes within native territories dating back to 1827 Cherokee Constitution, which stated, the descendants of Cherokee men by all free women except the African race, whose parents may have been living together as man and wife according to the customs and laws of this nation, shall be entitled to all the rights and privileges of this nation, as well as the posterity of Cherokee women by all free men. No person who is of Negro or mulatto parentage, either by the father or mother side, shall be eligible to hold any office of profit, honor, or trust under this government. So this was 1827. What I just read to you happened. They had decided that if you were of African descent, male or female, that you wouldn't be entitled. You would not be entitled, all right, to hold any office or profit, all right, in their society, all right. And then later came, I think it was 1866, where I guess it was revised, all right, but Gadd still didn't uphold it. All right, and then you got into the 1880s. I believe it was around 1883, 1880s, after the Dawes Act. And then Gadd still, so I mean, it's like, so now, supposedly, that's why I say we got to continue to watch. So I'll post all this information in the description box, the links to these articles. And wow, just wow. So now, is this just a change of heart? I mean, what's going on here? All right. We shall see. All right. We shall see. It's very interesting. All right. So with that, I hope whoever views this is edified.